Welcome to Aumsville Ponds County Park Recreation Site Assessment by Simon Pickett. Aumsville Ponds County Park is a mixed-use watershed area that is about 77 acres. It has a 5-acre lake, a smaller 3-acre lake, a few smaller ponds, picnic and grassy areas, and a few miles of trails. The watershed includes a third privately owned lake, El Laguna. The Aumsville Ponds, mostly Young Lake, are part of the Mill Creek watershed. The ponds empty into Porter Creek, which flows directly to Mill Creek and then to the Willamette River. The area is part of a wetlands restoration project and is included in the Natural Heritage Parks program. It is about 1.5 miles southeast of Aumsville in Marion County and about 10 miles southeast of the capital, Salem. For the Santiam Canyon locals, it's at the intersection of Bates and Bishop Roads. The park operations are overseen by Marion County Public Works and protected by Aumsville PD, Marion County Sheriff's Office, and the Oregon Department of Fish and Wildlife. The area is home to several dozen species of plants and animals. Some are invasive and some are protected or important species to the environment. Especially in wetlands, we find that some species play a key role in fixing the environment for others. A few to look for are snowberry, foxglove, and cow parsnip. One to look out for is Scotch broom, an invasive species and one notorious for setting allergies off. Overhead, you'll find red alder, black cottonwood, and Oregon's ubiquitous Douglas fir, among many others. Keep an eye out for migratory birds like the Canada goose. Studies have been done to show that Aumsville Ponds are a repeat resting and roosting site for the goose. As usual for Western Oregon, one can spot osprey hunting for fish, perhaps like this largemouth bass. As the area is marshy, expect a high number of amphibians. Newts and several types of frogs are in the area, including the Pacific tree frog, a known and important keystone species. Another important resident is a northern red-legged frog. This frog is protected in Oregon and California and listed as a species of concern. Studies have shown that Aumsville Ponds, although showing brooding success for the frog, are likely an isolated area, making it vulnerable to kind of terrestrial island biogeography. This could spell disaster for the frog. A visit to the park leaves a no-frills experience. The facilities are slim and rustic. There's a single pit toilet in the bi-gender bathroom and a decent recycling station next to it. A gravel parking lot with room for about 12 well-parked cars and one stone picnic table. The area really is a light impact mixed use area. Fishing, swimming, and nature hikes are the top 3. As it is a wetland restoration area, the emphasis on the nature walk is high, even with an interpretive sign. There are some neat bridges and a viewing fishing platform as well. The best part is that it's just a close and convenient area to go and relax. For a little history on the site, one would need to go back to the Oregon Department of Transportation, ODOT, and the Oregon Department of Fish and Wildlife. The north portion of the park and main lake is an old rock quarry. That's Young Lake. It's rumored to be very deep in the middle, and local lore has it that there is submerged quarry machinery at the bottom. Although I couldn't substantiate this claim, it's not an unheard of thing to happen. The south end of the park was used as a fish hatchery by ODFW until the 1980s. There are several long, narrow ponds used to rear false chinook and Oregon chub. During that period, most of the false chinook above Willamette Falls was fish raised from here in Aumsville, as well as a nearby facility in Staten. The terrain of those rearing ponds is still evident in the structure of the separate ponds and even some sluice gates between them. I found a park heavy with rules. A lot of rules for a small park. No motorized boats, no dogs, no camping, no horses. All good rules. These rules are meant to keep the park free of the changes that those high-impact uses can have. Instead of hardening the site to accept those uses, management has decided to limit the types of use at the park. Despite the rules, the park has some areas of opportunity. There are signs of trash in many areas of the park. Fishing refuse, water bottles, plastic and paper wrappers are common throughout the park. Old agricultural and perhaps industrial refuse is also apparent. Some areas near the trail even had an oily sheen to them and didn't look healthy at all. Additionally, there are some facilities that need repairs and attention. The trail needs to be trimmed back and there are some downed trees. The viewing area is in disrepair and needs to be closed down to limit liability and the chance of someone getting hurt. The summer crowds are guilty of site alteration and vegetation trampling. These problems pervade even with the managerial strategies the coordinators have taken. There are trash cans near the entrance, recycling and sorting available. There is a sign thanking the volunteers, hopefully prompting others to recognize and continue the hard work to keep the park clean. And the park has taken steps to warn the offenders of the consequences. Signs warn of video surveillance and fines for dumping. With its proximity to Aumsville and a major highway, it does have a lot of eyes on it, and dumping is a concern. But apparently, the real problem lies in casual garbage, not felonious dumping. What can management do? The assessment that most of the impact comes from casual use suggests that a combination of approaches would be best, both direct and indirect. A direct managerial approach could be taken to address most of the trash incidents. Much of the trash seemed to be opportunistic trash. It wasn't dumped or brought from the home. It was brought, consumed, or fished with and used on site, and then the wrapper container discarded. The addition of more trash cans would help. Currently, the site has the only one trash area with 3 cans, and perhaps some pole-mounted collection sites placed in the interior of the park could also help deter some of the minor litter. A combination with an indirect approach would be signage showing the risks and pressure litter can put on an ecosystem. The second major problem at the site is vegetation trampling and bank erosion. This is due to fishing and swimming pressure. Much of the bank is very soft and muddy, and it gives away easily. Additionally, some alterations are made to an area to access an island. Basically, a plank bridge is laid over the mud. For some of the bank area, some site hardening would fix the problems. Perhaps assessments could be made to instill a revolving off-limits area to spread out some of the damage, or at least control it. A direct approach could be taken for violators in the form of warnings, fines, and exclusion from the park. Now, this is a natural area and should be left as such. With some small, unobtrusive improvements, the area could see some increased interest. Management can use indirect approaches to both compel self-regulating behavior and to increase interest in the park and its wetland value. The park does have an interpretive sign, but could benefit from a few more. Perhaps some signs explaining the history and its restoration efforts would help educate the public and show why the park is important. Along with increased visitation and access, the public might tend to feel more invested in the site, as in it becomes a site for memories or special occasions. This could lead to the desire to repairs and the need for funds for upgrades and a source for those funds. A sense of that heightened investment in a location can increase a sensitivity to protect it, and management providers could look to foster grassroots and local conservation and save the park initiatives and efforts in order to find those funds, and these groups can get creative to make the repairs and upgrades needed to the park. If we work together, we can all enjoy this and all of Oregon's parks.